Make every night a wonderful journey, no matter where you are. Good night, sweet dreams. The first story, Creephe. I was always the kind of person to stubbornly reject new generations at first. After the second generation, and Generation 5 was no different though. I played through the game and enjoyed my experience and the graphics. The Pokémon were all but appealing to me. I finally grew accustomed to my SE superior, but still wanted to find other companions that I actually liked. For a while I had been hoarding gold nuggets, among other rarities, to sell for money in preparation for EV training that special Pokémon, like a proper trainer. But it was not until that peculiar day, in the depths of Relic Castle, that I found that special Pokémon that was originally there for the storyline, and as usual was killing off the Team Plasma grunts with relative ease. Their Dark-type Pokémon were no match for my mean shell. Now typically when I am doing such a thing, I would use repels to ward off any pesky wild Pokémon, and that was the case this time as well for a while. My last repel quickly wore off, and with a groan of frustration I had to press on. My first encounter happened in very few steps great. I entered the battle with my SE superior, hoping to get it over quick, when a shocking sight beheld my eyes. A shiny Coziest. I had never seen a normal one, let alone a shiny Coziest, and I instantly knew it was something I wanted. I've been drawn to creepy things for as long as I can remember stories, characters, monsters, so this was perfect. In my excitement, even if I had known, I still would have overlooked the peculiarities of this particular Coziest, like how its sprite showed it gaping open on occasion. It was difficult, but I carefully pounded down its health to a reasonable level, and crossing my fingers, I sent out a Pokeball success on my first try. Laughing to myself, I jokingly named it Creephe, after a typo that a friend made that for some reason I found hilarious. Overjoyed, I immediately admired the catch in my party. I had left a spot blank from the beginning in hopes that I would find a Pokémon of this generation I adored, and it was finally filled. Although I was itching to give Creephe a try, I realized that he might not be the best choice against the opponents I was about to face. Shrugging it off and intending to train him later, I took a step forward. A message popped up instantaneously. I read it, extremely curious. Creephe is hungry, feed it a gold nugget. Weird. While I would have been interested to see the outcome, I still wanted to save as many as I could for cash for vitamins, so I selected no and continued. Not long after that I fought another grunt. I sighed heavily at first, remembering I had forgotten to switch to my mean shell. But oddly enough, it was the Pokémon that came out. I could have sworn SE superior was in the first slot. Hastily defeating the grunt, I shrugged it off and went forward. I was challenged again. At least I have a fighting type. I mumbled to myself as the battle started, but I had spoken too soon. My mouth dropped open, when instead of my mean shell, I was looking at the back of my ZEB Strike, extremely confused now. I struggled to win, and opened my party afterwards even if I had been expecting it. I couldn't have been prepared for what I saw. My mean shell and my SE superior were both COMPL. EDDLY absent from the party. Where had they gone? Outraged, I felt like yelling at my DS, but I knew that wouldn't help anything. Was this some sort of glitch? Had they rushed the release due to all of the hype? I couldn't say, but I wasn't ready to give up after all. I still had 3 others besides Coziest to use. Right, I was about to engage yet another plasma member when I was greeted by the same prompt as before. Creep, he is hungry, feed it a gold nugget. I was all ready to piss to deal with this, so with a hard pound of the A button, I chose no soon after I was fighting the plasma guy. I should have anticipated it, but my ZB streak A wasn't sent out. Furious, I took out my anger on the light. Arden checked my party. Oh God, everything gone. Everything was gone except the stupid Kofagrigas. Creepy would be no use against the dark types. But I didn't care anymore. It was after I had caught this stupid thing, so maybe it was to blame. Creepy is V, or why hungry feed is a gold nugget, flashed on the screen again, and I finally lost my cool. Refusing to feed the greedy thing, and running into the next grunt, I was fully prepared to see this nuisance faint and get whited out. The grunt sent out a light part perfect. I was about to select attack, when the game suddenly grew a mind of its own. Creep, he used bind. What? Does it even have that move? I watched as his ghost-like arms enveloped the foe. I don't remember bind ever looking like that. Light, reduced struggle. How is that possible? Struggle is only used when no other move can be used. Don't the POK of trainers normally have full PP at the beginning of battles? And then my stomach went cold. I stared in shock as the lightbird writhed in my Creepy's powerful grip, letting out its cry. Creep. ES Mummy Special ability activated, and the bandages launched out to constrict it even more. Creep, use Crush Grip. I knew for sure it didn't know that move, but nonetheless, the lightbird was damaged. It fainted in a single blow, unable to even cry once more, as is customary. But it wasn't over. Slowly Creep, his arms dragged the motionless feline towards his body, then yanked it inside the coffin, slammed shut, and the match ended. I was shaking by then, wondering how they could put something so terrifying in a children's game, when a message came up. Creep, Keki, are you still not enjoying your Pokemon teeth? I did. They were all wonderful. It finally dawned on me. This wasn't a glitch. The Kof Agrigas had been EA-TING my team all along. Creepy. However, I'm not satisfied. Feed me. Spencer. Giles ran down my spine. My trainer was named Dash. Spencer is my real name. Before I could even press button, I was abruptly thrown into a battle. I was opposing Creepy as myself. I glared vehemently at the screen. At that mocking smile, the game went on by itself. Ash's mean look. Ash's bright shared the scowl I was wearing. Creepy used taunt. A proper trainer would feed his Pokemon before trying to make them stronger. You should have fed me when you had the chance, Spencer Keki. I swallowed and shook the DS violently. I attempted to run, but as expected it failed. Couldn't escape. Creep, he used bind. I wailed in agony, knowing what was coming. Ash used screech. Creep, he used scary face. Its grin distorted and curled at the edges, its jagged teeth gnashing together as the coffin door swung open like a yawning mouth. Ash used struggle. It was too late. I was already being dragged in. And then it happened. The crush grip finished the job, and with a sickening crack I saw myself yanked in them. The screen went black briefly, interrupted by a maniacal laugh and a close-up of those menacing red eyes. I chucked my DS at the wall, trembling, and fled the room. Since that event, I haven't been able to sleep. I will keep the lights on, but whenever I accidentally doze off I see the face, that scary face, haunting me in my dreams. I tried restarting the game, hoping to evade that vicious, shiny coziest, but each time I am greeted by pitch black. Looking at my trainer card yields nothing but what might be a sleeping coziest, and the trainer name always shows up as EATN. The second story, the Lake Men. There are people who keep in the shadows and whisper ideas into the ears of unknowing citizens, and these ideas turn into what we call rumors. But sometimes these ideas turn into something more than just rumors. The rumors turn into reality. The Lake Men rumor goes accordingly. Every Friday of April, people who live near Lake say that they see these creatures that have a body of a frog and the head of a man. They crawl out of the lake with their eyes twinkling in the moonlight. That's how the people can see them. Their eyes are reflective. Like cats, people never get close enough to decipher any specific features other than the head, eyes, and body. The Lake Men don't make noise. They're completely silent, making it even harder to notice them, but still people do. Once, a man said that he got real close to one and touched it, but most think he was just boasting. I am one who contributed to the rumor. I brought an addition to the rumor to make it even more real. I was a little bit interested in the story, so one Friday in April, I decided to try to look for one being stupid. I went without my friends. It was 1200 in the morning, and I was beginning to lose faith in this area, until, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a flash of light. At this moment, I got very excited and turned my head to see what it wasn't there. 2 feet before me wasn't. Then I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in a damp cave. My eyes were still a blur and I could barely stay awake. A man in a white lab coat walked up to me and whispered these words. We can take a few rumors here and there may be a faraway sighting, but you're too much when you wake up. Relay these words in your mind. You are not real. Never were real. You are not abnormal. You are the what. Pure are the things you see are fake. Forget them. Forget them. Completely forget them. At that moment I blacked out once more. Then everything was fine. I just woke up and I feel different. I feel as if my body has changed into something, but not something bad. Something greater that mixed two important things together. I can't figure out what the two things are, but I do feel a lot more slimy and smaller than I was before. I feel like wait, what am I talking about? Whatever. I need to think more important things. For instance, where I would catch my next meal of bugs. The third story, paralysis. Pokémon Dime and my most beloved game ever. The one I had beaten within days of getting it. I was well on my way to catching every Pokémon. Only a few left whenever I was bored. I'd whip out my old DS and have a wander around with the poke reader, looking for the ones that had escaped my attention. It was taking a really long time, but I refused to cheat, and I didn't want to trade for it either. That just left the old-fashioned way. Good old man power. It was roughly 1 a.m. I have quite severe insomnia, making it impossible for me to sleep some nights. It was times like these that I would play Diamond to tire out my brain, and half the time it managed to induce sleep in me. Maybe it would work tonight. Yawning softly, I booted up the game and went to try for 100 straight battles in the Battle Tower. I was at 48, but then lost to the Battle Tycoon. Damn him. I didn't have enough full power to try again, so I decided to instead go looking for Pokémon with the poke radar. I had never searched the first route, so I flew over there on my sea robot. making sure to leave 3 spaces free for any new Pokemon. I set to work. It wasn't long before I found something, an idea in mail. I held in a shout of excitement. I loved an idea ram, but didn't think you could guess in this game without attacking, for I knew it would faint. I went straight to my bag and threw an Ultra Ball. Ultra Balls would always catch a Pokemon lower than level 15. I had discovered, and I wasn't proved wrong grinning. I named him Karo. After a rabbit I used to own, he was only level 2, but I didn't mind. That was what training was for. I immediately took him to the trophy garden, my favorite place to train, and gave him the XP share. My sea rabbit easily defeated every Pokemon I faced, and Karo slowly rose through the levels until he was strong enough to stand on his own for paws. He was at level 15, and I knew they evolved at level 16 into Nidorino, but I never really liked that Pokemon at all. I switched his XP share for an Everstone, and began to train him again. He was a very good battler, and I didn't have to heal him that often. The little bastard. Soon Karo was level 23, and I was on my way out of the trophy garden to train somewhere higher leveled when I got into another battle. I thought that I might as well use the experience point and let Karo go against a Pichu, level 17. I thought I'd go first, but I didn't. The Pichu managed to hit me with Thunder Wave. Consequently, Karo was unable to move, which kind of ticked me off. I hated paralysis. 25 chance of not moving. My foot. It seemed my Pokemon were NEV, are able to move when they got paralyzed. Because of this, I always carry around loads of Paro YZ heals, one of which I used to heal Karo. I waited for the Pichu to make its move, but it used Thunder Wave again. Okay. No sweat, another Paro YZ heal. I once again waited for the Pichu's move, and cursed when it yet again used Thunder Wave. I was starting to get really peed off now, and as I used yet another Paro YZ heal, I decided that if it used it again, I'd just forget the battle and go train somewhere else. The move Pichu used next, Thunder Wave. Without another thought, I pressed V. Upon returning to the overworld, I used a Paro YZ heal to get rid of Karo's remaining paralysis, and began to walk towards the mansion. I hadn't gone to steps when I got into another battle. I cringed when I saw it was a Pichu, same level. I pressed flee again. I couldn't be bothered with this paralysis nonsense, and I was wasting my Paro YZ heals, which cost hard-earned money. But you can't escape. Oh, wonderful that was. And when the Pichu used Thunder Wave again, that just made everything so much better. I kept using my Paro YZ heals. This Pichu would NOT beat me. No way. I'd fight it until he ran out of PP. Or I ran out of heals. I looked at the empty space for long. No Paro YZ heals left. Sighing, I returned to the battle screen, pressing free without much hope. You can't escape. I waited for the Pichu's attack, but it only used Thunder Wave again. Jeez. Is that all Pichus learn? I began to grow uneasy as the same 4 lines kept flashing up on my screen. Karo is paralyzed. It may be unable to move. Karo is paralyzed. It can't move. The wild Pichu used Thunder Wave. Karo is already paralyzed. This repetitive dialogue began to fill me with fear. There was no way Thunder Wave had that many power points. Holding my breath, I pressed flee. You can't escape. Oh yippee. I awaited the perpetuous thunder wave. The wild PICHU fled. Oh, thank the Lord. I breathed a sigh of relief as I finally returned to the overworld. I walked quickly out through the mansion, heading towards Veilstone City. For some reason my screen kept glitching, like when your Pokemon is poisoned. But I knew none of my team had a status condition except Karo, and he was paralyzed. I made my way to the Pokemon Center, eager to get Karo healed up. Hello. Welcome to the Pokemon Center. We restore your Pokemon to full health. Would you like to rest your Pokemon? No. I came here to admire the view. Okay, we'll take your Pokemon for a few seconds. Oh, you're Karo? This wasn't part of the normal script. He has been permanently damaged. WHAT. What do you mean? He's been damaged? Give me some more information. Lady, thank you for waiting. We restored the rest of your Pokemon to full health. Yeah, I bow back to you. And I don't hope to see you again because that means my Pokemon have been hurt. But what does it take to get good help around here? I opened up my party and, to my shock, Karo was still paralyzed. I felt anger fill me and see a stupid virtual nurse do her job properly. Grumbling, I went over the Pokemart and replaced all of my lost YZ heals. I immediately went to use one on Karo. It won't have any effect. What? That I couldn't heal him? I went over to the piece, replacing a Pokemon in the piece. He got rid of status 2. I deposited him, exited, then went back and got him out. He was still paralyzed. I shook my head, refusing to believe it, but I didn't care if he was paralyzed or not. I was going to make Karo a permanent member on my team. I sent him out to get trained again after all. He could still attack 75 of the time, even if he was a little slower. In fact, I could use it to my advantage. I taught him FA8 using a TM, a move which power doubles from 70 to 140 if the Pokemon was burnt, poisoned or paralyzed. Also, there was the fact that he couldn't be frozen, put to sleep or burnt because he already had a status condition. Oh yes, I could use his disability very well. I couldn't be bothered with training a paralyzed Pokemon, so I gave him the XP share and took him and 5 of my usual 6 to the Elite Four. After many run-throughs, and even more cancelled evolutions later, I got him all the way up to level 55. I took him to the battle tower and entered him for the double battles with 3 of my other team members. I put him up front with my Raichu as a partner. Raichu didn't last long. Earth power from a golem took him out immediately. After he took out the opponent's Gyarados, I waited for Karo to attack. Karo is paralyzed. It will never move again. What? Karo, what was wrong with you? My opponent replaced Gyarados with Hitmonchan. I sent out my C-Robot and told it to use Fly, telling Karo to use Horn Attack. However, my opponent's Hitmonchan moved first with Bullet Punch on Karo. It hardly took any of his HP though. Thank God C-Robot flew up high, avoiding my opponent's Golem's Rocked, and Karo was next. Karo is paralyzed. It will never move again. Karo, do something, anything. Don't just sit there. C-Robot moved first, taking out Hitmonchan with a critical hit. Golem knocked out C-Robot too. Using Rock to end Karo's turn. Karo is paralyzed. Why won't you understand? Wait, it said a different message that time. I had passed it without thinking, meaning I never really grasped what it said. I sent out my final PO came home. Mr. Mime, my opponent, sent out Sithar. Mr. Mime used Grassnot, getting rid of Golem, whilst Sithar used Flame, which unsurprisingly didn't fade Mr. Mime but burnt him, as the Sithar had been holding a flame orb. I already knew the gist of what Karo's turn would give me. Karo is paralyzed, but you don't care. Okay, that was not true. I did care, but what could I do? I couldn't heal him, and I couldn't switch him out either. Sith or used false swipe at the start of that turn, taking Mr. Mime's health into the low red with a critical hit, and Mr. Mime used Encore Karo's turn. You know what happened. Karo is paralyzed. Someone, please listen. Mr. Mime fainted from his burn, the turn that left Karo in the Sithar. The Sithar was of course forced to use false swipe, which took Karo to 1 HP, but of course no lower. Karo is paralyzed. It is in extreme pain. The worst thing was, the most I could do was nothing. I had no other PO came on. The Sithar was stuck on Encore and Karo couldn't attack. I was left watching the same text scrolling. The foes SCYTHE are used false swipe. Karo is paralyzed. It is grimacing and crying. The foes SCYTHE are used false swipe. Karo is paralyzed. Why are you doing this? The foes SCYTHE used false swipe. Karo is paralyzed. Stop this torture. The foes Encore ended. Oh, thank God for that. Now I can finally get out of this horrible, tortuous loop. The foes SCYTHE are used false swipe. Karo is paralyzed. PASCI BTMEDI. Why wouldn't it choose a different move? The Encore had ended. It was free to do anything. I found myself weeping silently, horrified at what I had done to Karo, forcing him to battle, when he couldn't do anything over and over again. Those same two lines. Sithar using false swipe and Karo begging for death. Until the foes SCYTHE are used mercy strike. Karo fainted. I breathed a sigh of relief as Karo slid off the screen and I returned to the overworld. Once outside, I went straight to the PO, came on Center PC, and went to Karo. I lingered over release. Was it really the right thing to do? How would a paralyzed Den, ID or Anne survive in a world all alone? Without a prompt, the screen closed itself, and I was greeted with the sight of Karo on my top screen. Well, greeted is hardly the right word. I stifled a scream as I looked upon his mangled form. Continuous yellow flashes came from him, and one of his ears was torn and bloodied. There were slashes all over his body. One of his eyes was tightly squeezed shut. Crimson liquid pouring down from it. He appeared to be trying to speak from his sprite, mouth opening ever so slightly before closing again. Shaking faintly, his ruined eye opened to reveal a gaping hole. Deep black and red, even more of the life-giving fluid ran out of the eyeless socket. As I watched, another tremor racked his body, and it sparked faintly. I want to die. The text that appeared at the bottom of the screen was understandable. I knew I would want to die if I were in that state. Kill me. I yelled in horror. How could it ask me to do that? I'm suffering. I felt tears falling from my eyes as I slowly nodded, but I didn't know how I supposed to fulfill his wish. I wasn't kept waiting long. APO came on, battle started. Karo came out on the other side. But I wasn't given the option to send out a PO game on. Instead, it acted like the Safari game. I was given only one option: mercy killing. Without pause, I clicked it, the screen flashed black, and a sickening snap was heard. I didn't need to look at the screen to know what had happened, but I did anyway. Carlos, I was wide and staring, mouth open and a silent toe. His neck was bent at a horrible, unnatural angle. I had broken his neck. To this day, I have never forgotten Caro, and I still fear battling Pichu. I live in constant terror that I will relive this story, perhaps with one of my more dear friends that I traveled with on my original journey. I tell you all this story so you don't make the same mistake as me. Never underestimate the severity of paralysis.